Hey everybody, welcome to Grimsforge Gaming. Today we're going to be covering my Starkiller build. This is the first Sorcerer build I've done for Starkiller, so this is going to be Starkiller 1.0. We are running a front bar back bar setup, and this is probably the most broken build I've ever run. For both PVE and PvP. It's really silly. And now I don't know what the parse is on it or anything like that for PvE, but from a clear standpoint, like as far as clearing trash mobs and damage output, it's really silly. Anyways, let's jump into the build. First thing, when we are running a front bar back bar setup, this is thematic. This is a thematic build, so we are running dual wield. When you're running a front bar back bar setup, it allows you to run a monster set and a mythic item. And so the mythic item that we're running is going to be Ring of the Wild Hunt, and you can see that we have it with just healthy, needed that to get to roughly the 30k health in CP scenarios. Also, without running healthy on my jewelry, we were running too low a health in battlegrounds. Okay, so you need to run healthy. Now don't worry about that. A lot of people, you bloodthirsty Neanderthals out there, are like, no, I run infused weapon damage. Well, I can tell you that your health's going to be too low. Damage is super high right now. You're going to be, even 30k health is within burst threshold, right? But you need to get as close to 30k as you can. So run healthy for sure with this setup, okay? Anyways, the weapon damage on this, it can push up to, I've seen with some outside buffs, I've seen 7,500 weapon damage, and that's without continuous. So if you were to get continuous on this, you'd break 8k. If you decided to run infused on all your jewelry, you'd probably break 9k. As a matter of fact, I think the ESO build editor says 9,100 weapon damage if you go all out. Okay, don't do it though, it's a trap. I had to add that. Anyways, Ring of the Wild Hunt, and you can see while we are in combat, an additional 15% movement speed, and while we're out of combat, we get an extra 45. That 15% movement speed paired with our minor expedition when hurricane's up gives us like that extra 30% movement speed while in combat. Really nice. I love how fast Starkiller is. Okay, we are running a two-piece Belores set, and one heavy, one medium. We are running the prismatic enchants on everything, and we're a hodgepodge of traits. So I've got Impen, you see there's well fitted, and anyways, Belores really nice because how we line up our burst on this when we do our Dawnbreaker on a group of people, that's when we want pen. You notice unbuffed right now, I only have 3600 pen. Does not matter because I line up all my kills with a certain ability and a certain proc sets, and basically all hell breaks loose. Okay, so we're going complete cheese. They've got it in the game and we're going to use it. So anyways, Belores, when we drop a Dawnbreaker, it's go time. We'll hit probably 29k pen is what I've seen. If it's a 500k or a 500 ultimate Dawnbreaker, we'll hit 29k pen. Okay, so people are gonna die. That's nice. Anyways, Wild Hunt, Belores, and we are running Plague Break, and we're running Plague Break on our front bar. So you can see when we get to our front bar here, and we're running Nirnhoned and we're running Sharpened, and right now I just have the stamina regen enchants on there. If you wanted to run shock, that would be fine too, I would imagine. So you can apply I would run shock and frost, so that way you could get concussed and minor maim on those. Okay, so Plague Break on the front bar. I've said this in all my videos, I'll say this until they change Plague Break. Plague Break is the most broken set in ESO right now. It applies a status effect, and not only do I not have to kill the person in order for them to explode, but they can kill themselves by cleansing Plague Break, or they can kill their teammates by cleansing Plague Break, or the healer can accidentally cleanse them and start a chain reaction and kill everyone. So also, while the effect is on them, the status effect is on them, someone else could kill the person and they'll explode and create a chain reaction. Okay, so Plague Break, for that reason alone, is one of the most broken sets, even more so than Vicious Death. At least with Vicious Death, I need to secure the kill, not so on Plague Break. Anyways, this is how Plague Break works in the game, so we're going to take full advantage of it. We're going to put Plague Break on everyone, and we're going to put them in a situation where they feel like they need to heal. They panic, they heal, they cleanse, they kill everyone, right? Or I kill everyone. Okay, that's my Plague Break rant. Let's look at the back bar. On the back bar, we are running Dark Convergence, and I'm running Nirnhoned and Defending. It wouldn't do me any good to run Sharpened here on the back bar because I'm only using my back bar to apply heals. That's where Nirnhoned comes in. It drives my weapon damage up high, so my self heals are high. But Defending gives me a little bit more defense on my back bar. Now, this is a thematic build, like I said. You know, Starkiller uses the dual wield lightsabers, right? So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot, right? Nirnhond's the way to go. Also, Nirnhoned and Sharpen's the way to go. Don't do Nirnhoned, okay? It's Nirnhoned Sharpened, and Nirnhoned Sharpened ends up being more damage than Nirnhoned currently. I don't know if anyone's tested that new thing, but anyways, that's how it used to be. And so we're running Dark Convergence on this. You can see we're running healthy weapon damage, and healthy weapon damage. And so kind of how we have this set up is when we're on our back bar, Dark Convergence is complete. When we're on our front bar, Plague Break is complete and Dark Convergence is broken. We just have the max mag and the pen. So works out really well. I'm going to hover over each armor set real quickly. Medium, Balors, heavy, Balors, medium, Plague Break, light, Dark Convergence. And you see Dark Convergence actually comes in light. It doesn't come in medium. So, and then medium, Plague Break, medium, Plague Break, medium, Plague Break. And we've got the prismatic enchants. And then you look, we're not even running impen on a lot of stuff. So like when people hit us, our speed is our best defense, okay? Our speed is our best defense. Streak is our best defense, okay? Let's look at some of the stats. Some people will say, holy cow, that's not very much recoveries. You're right, it's not. Now, let me pop a potion here real quick. And in no CP, it's even worse, right? Like, you get into a no CP scenario. Here's the stats. That's my recoveries, okay? But when you look at the ability we have Dark Deal, and Dark Deal is going to give us a lot of health. I'm in PvP right now, and it's going to give us a lot of stamina back, and the trade-off of 2300 max or mag for that health and stamina isn't too bad, okay? If you wanted to, you don't need to run dual wield on your back bar. We're just doing it because we're a thematic build and we like playing hard mode, right? If you wanted to run, resto on the back bar, you could, and that would give you an opportunity to just stand there and channel a resto heavy attack to get magicka back in the tank, right? And so I would run dual wield resto if you're going to run this type of setup, and that will work out really well. If you're going to run dual wield resto, another thing that you could do is you don't need to run time freeze to proc the Dark Convergence, which is how I'm doing it. The reason being is I really like the snare that this applies. It makes it really hard to get out of Dark Convergence, and so that's pretty cool. Also thematic, right? We're playing hard mode, and this is Starkiller able to just alter time and do time stop basically, or time freeze, and pull everyone in with his dark powers, and so that works out really well. If you don't want to run that, you could actually run There it is, Daedric Mines, and then run the morph that does the remote mines, okay? And the remote mines allow you to target and place them wherever you want. And so make sure you go into your settings and you change it to where you're able to auto cast or auto place ground effects. Then you don't have to click twice. It's a lot more intuitive for PvP purposes. And you're gonna see this on a later build. I'm running this that very setup on Valkorion. And it's going to be a really ridiculous build that we're releasing. But run mines, and mines are a little bit less cost, right? Like 5,000 versus 7,000. So run those, and you might even get some cost reduction here and stuff like that. I did race Starkiller to CP during all of the EXP events, so I'm missing a lot of passives. So this build will only get stronger. And not only that, when you look at the build, I am running a hodgepodge of random traits, and I'm running purple gear. You know, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'd run all gold. So I've got 4 purple. My jewelry is this jewelry is only purple, and I did gold out my weapons. So this thing will only get stronger. Also, I haven't run very many dungeons, but the dungeons I do run, his clear in dungeons is just ridiculous. The same way, if you watch the video, the clip of me clearing stuff in the sewers. As I get higher in Undaunted, I'm going to gain more stats. And so once we get to where we want to be with like 2 points into that, it's going to be an extra 6% max stats. I might be able to come off of 1 of my healthy or 2 of my healthy on my jewelry and go infused for even more damage. I don't know. We'll play by ear. So, okay, let's talk about the rotation. It's a very easy rotation. This is going to be unbuffed, but right now we're running Crystal Weapon, and we are running Blood Craze. I definitely prefer Blood Craze over the other morph. I need that additional healing coming in, because my healing kit really only consists of the hots that come in from Blood Craze and my Resolving Vigor, and it's going to be my Blood Magic. When you hit an enemy with direct applied dark magic ability, you heal. So when I hit him with the Crystal Weapon, I'm going to get a heal in from that. And then I also have Crit Surge. Alright, so when you do critical damage, and basically that usually comes from either this dot or my Hurricane, right? And so I'll have a heal coming in. So those are my heals, right? Healing from this, healing from that, healing from Crit Surge, which could happen up to every second, and then I have healing coming in from dark loading from blood magic, right? And then I do have this heal if I need it for like a burst heal, right? And then finally, I can drop Absorption Field, and this is the healing version, so every second I've got 4k heals coming in. So if I need to tank down for whatever reason, this is also the second way that I apply a ground status effect to proc my Dark Convergence. So if I can, I try not to use this until Dark Convergence is off cooldown, and then I get a 2-for-1, right? Like I get a negate, I get a heal, and it pulls everyone in on Dark Convergence, and I'm doing spin to win, and it's just really tanky. And so that works out really well. We ran into a werewolf in the sewers, and there's a lot of crazy builds right now, and I just hit the full rotation on the werewolf, dropped a negate right on top of him so he couldn't use his werewolf heals, and did the full rotation and just bursted him before he knew what was happening. So negate is really, really nice. There's good heals on this. Another thing too, we're on our back bar currently. You see our resistances are fairly low even when we buff up. Our resistances are fairly low at 24,000, 24,000, and our crit resistance at 1,400. Speed is king in PvP, and speed gives you an immense amount of survivability. Also, Quick Cloak. We have access to Major Expedition with this. We have access to Minor Expedition with this, and then Ring of the Wild Hunt gives us an extra 15% movement speed, and then Streak obviously gives us a lot of speed. So we have access to a lot of speed on this build, and that's helping offset. Also, this Major Evasion that you see there, Major Evasion for 14 seconds, reducing damage of area effect attacks by 20%, that can't be taken away from us, to my knowledge. And I don't know, there's a lot of new things in the game right now, so maybe there is a way to strip that. But Major Evasion helps make us feel tanky, so when our speed our speed runs us into a huge area of effect, you know, mess, this helps cut the edge off that a little bit. So anyways, that's our rotation. When we're running up to people, I make sure that we have our 1, 2, and 3 up, and I travel around. This is my better defensive bar, and you can see we're pretty fast, and if I have to streak through people, I will. But we travel around on our back bar, and while I'm traveling too, if I feel like my stamina is getting a little low, you know, like I'm using Quick Cloak to move around a lot, I can also channel in between. I can channel a Dark Deal and get my magicka back up. So sustain on this, even though the max stats are really low, or the recoveries are really low, once you learn how to make it work, it's doable. Okay, if you don't like that low of sustain, switch your Mundus, switch your enchant, switch your food. Okay, so you can see as far as Mundus and food, we're running the Warrior for more weapon damage. If you want to run Serpent, you can. And we're running Bewitched Sugar Skulls. We need max mag, we need max stam, and we need max health on this, and the health recovery helps us out a little bit. But we need both max mag, max health, and max stam, all three of those, to make this work with such low sustain. And you got to think about it too. I did this with another build. It was called my 1.21 gigawatts, and it was a sorcerer build, and we were testing running really low recoveries versus running high spell damage and high pen. And the faster, what I found out was, the faster you can get people out, right, the faster you can kill people, the less recoveries you need, right? And so that's a thing. And then so we're running immense speed, immense kiting capabilities, and we have Dark Deal, which is kind of endless sustain, if that makes sense, right? Dark Deal is a form of endless sustain as long as I'm not out of magicka. And so you just have to play around with it. Okay, so we are running Spin to Win for our execute. We're running Streak, and Streak will be my hard CC. I don't normally like to use Streak unless I'm just fighting 1v1 and I don't necessarily want to drop my Dark Convergence and waste that on one person. So I'll Streak them and use my combination, try and get one person out. And then here's a change. We are running Flawless Dawnbreaker, and Flawless Dawnbreaker is going to give us an extra 300 weapon damage. And so our 300 weapon damage on top of our Balor's scaling of weapon and spell damage, we can really see really high numbers right when we need it most, because once I drop a time stop or a time freeze on people and I'm running around with ult and everybody gets sucked in, and I hit that Flawless Dawnbreaker, I don't need Dawnbreaker Smiting to CC them, right? Because they just got pulled in with Dark Convergence. I need as much weapon damage and pen as possible during that time frame to secure at least one kill, because one kill might lead to 2 kills with Plague Break. Okay, so Dawnbreaker of Flawless Dawnbreaker was the play on that. Also, another thing too, I think if we go in here, I'm still missing some passives and stuff, right? But there's an extra 3% weapon damage just by having this slotted as opposed to Overload. Another thing too about running Overload, you could, if you wanted to really run thematic and be like, there's time where Starkiller just channels that Force Lightning from his hands. Unfortunately, when I channel a heavy attack with Force Lightning, it doesn't proc Balors, and I need Balors to proc to get all that extra pen to put targets away, so I ended up having to go to the Dawnbreaker route. So Yeah, that's our offensive kit. I love it. Works out really well. Our back bar, I told you we move around with Quick Cloak, works out really well. Access to Major Expedition and Minor Expedition through Hurricane, Crit Surge, there's heals, there's our access to Major Brutality, Major Sorcery, Time Freeze, that's how we snare or slow everybody and pull everyone in. You could run the other morph of this, however it freezes you in a channeled effect, and this one does not. So like when I buff up right here and I'm just moving around, I can hit it on the ground, and as soon as it starts, I'm already on my front bar, and time stop runs its course. I'm already on my front bar fighting. So time freeze was the better play, even though the other one, borrowed time, applies a healing, you know, a 5k healing reduction. Definitely run this morph. Okay, time freeze, and dark deal, hurricane, and absorption field. Okay, here's the thing, because we like speed, if I were hurting for a bar spot, I could switch from hurricane and do the other one, which was boundless storm or whatever, and it gives me major expedition, right? So then I'd lose access to minor expedition, and I'd need to figure out how to do minor expedition. But Quick Cloak would come up, change to Deadly Cloak, and you'd get a little bit more dot pressure. I didn't think the trade-off of a little bit more dot pressure was worth the switch, and so running Major Expedition and Minor Expedition alongside one another, and then having Endless Sustain through Dark Deal was the play. Just explaining the rhyme or reason why. Absorption Field, like we said, this is a heal. I can tank down. It also triggers my Dark Convergence on my back bar. You could also run Storm Atronach or Greater Storm Atronach, and if you're getting ranged down by a lot of people, that's the play over Absorption Field, because if you're running into, like, sorcerers can't cast within this, but they can stand outside of it and cast in on you and just blow you up. So in that moment, you might want to run Storm Atronach and then Greater Storm Atronach, so it has a higher health threshold or health pool, and you can, basically it's a line of sight on demand. You can drop it wherever you want, stand behind it, within it, use it as a line of sight, right? And a zone control. This would also summon your Dark Convergence and pull everybody into the chaos. So that would be a play if you want. Right now, this is working out really cool for me, and it's super thematic, like being able to freeze time or freeze all magic abilities and all of that. So okay, that's the abilities, that's a rhyme or reason. We are a Nord, and I really like the max health, I like the max stam, and I like the extra resistances on Nord, and we do have built-in ult gen as we take damage, and so we take damage all the time. We're in the mix fighting people and killing people, so it works out really well. And I think we already talked about where we run the warrior. If you want to run serpent, you can. If you want to run the steed and get an extra 10% movement speed on top of that, you can. You could also run, what is it, clarity, I think, in your CP tree and get another 10% movement speed. Like, you could get super fast on this build if you want, but warrior seems to be working out really well. Bewitched Sugar Skull works out. I wouldn't switch this. I wouldn't go with any of the other options. You need max mag. Max mag in turn makes it to where you have unlimited sustain, right? Your ability to fill your mag pool back up. So let's jump into the CP. I'll show you what I have and we'll wrap this up. I am going to be taking this guy out into Cyrodiil. If you don't go out to Cyrodiil, don't get these two. It doesn't matter so much unless you're riding around grabbing sky shards or whatever. I always run Steed's Blessing for the extra 20% movement speed out of combat. That's great. And I always run Rationer. This will save you tons and tons of gold over the career, your ESO career. By basically, when I have this and some passives in provisioning, when I pop a Sugar Skulls, it has a 3-hour time duration on it. you can kind of decide what other stuff is important. Breakfall is pretty important, especially when you run a lot of speed and streak. You'll find yourself dropping off higher ledges than you thought and doing really crazy things, so I would invest in that. And you might want to get these two things: reduce movement speed. I'm not a vampire on Starkiller, and reduce the radius. You could be detected while sneaking. You could do that, or you could even reduce the cost of sneak if you're not a vampire. Anyways, okay, here's where it gets juicy, I guess, and what makes Starkiller very dangerous. We've got Untamed Aggression, that's 150 extra weapon and spell damage. We have Wrathful Strikes, that's 165 extra weapon and spell damage. And then if you come in here, we have an extra 100 weapon and spell damage here, and an extra 100 weapon and spell damage here. Dark Convergence does this damage, Plague Break does this damage, and we're getting a chance to apply additional status effects and more pens, so pick all that up. And then increase your damage done with direct damage attacks. So our spin to win is something that we're trying to buff right now, and the explosion from Plague Break and Dark Convergence, so and our crystal weapon hit and our streak, so that does that. And then increase your damage done with area of effect attacks, which would be spin to win, Plague Break, Explosion, and Dark Convergence. So we're double dipping on our damage output by running both of those. Okay. You do have a little bit of damage mitigation here, an extra healing 2%. There's an extra 2% damage mitigation to magical. There's 10% to non-player characters. So if you're using this to farm Telvar in the sewers, which I highly recommend because this thing's broken as all get out, 10% damage reduction fighting banners and NPCs or guards. You know, you're flipping resources or taking flags, and 2% there. Okay. I always get these three on almost everything. An extra 90% recoveries there, extra armor there, and extra max health. Definitely needed that on this build as well as this on the build. And right now I think if you come into here, we've got an extra 25% reduction to our elemental status effects, which is good because we don't have a way to cleanse any negative effects on us right now. And when you come into here, I am running clarity for an extra 10% movement speed, so speed is king. So you could maybe go with strategic reserve, but I'm basically trying to drop Dawnbreakers every chance I get, and Dark Convergence is off cooldown by the time I have the ult to drop a Dawnbreaker, so I wouldn't get much value out of this. So I think clarity is probably the way to go. Okay, that is the build. It's Starkiller 1.0, Dark Convergence. It's Dark Convergence back bar, Plague Break front bar, and running Ring of the Wild Hunt for maximum movement speed. So we are super fast on this build, and you need it to outmaneuver and kite people. It's a very, very dangerous build. Probably the most broken build I've ever played, like as far as burst potential. And I would say because we are running Quick Cloak and we have access to major evasion, we feel less squishy than we take damage, right? Because we're mostly a medium armor build, but 24k resistances isn't too bad, but the immense speed that we have gets us out of a lot of trouble. Okay, that's it, everybody. Be safe out there, and we're gonna start working on Valkorion because this thing's gonna be stupid. All right, see ya.